available through our call center at 1-888-632-3674. Again, that phone number for our call center is 1-888-632-3674. Additionally, we have enabled the Zoom function for closed captioning, so please note that the speech-to-text digital captioning may not always be 100% accurate. Participant microphones have also been muted, so again, we welcome you to use the chat box to ask questions at any time, and we will respond to those questions at the end of the presentation. So with that, let's dive in. Okay, perfect. Okay, so how climate change impacts us all. Climate change impacts us all. It's the biggest threat facing us today. From an increase in the number of extreme weather events to dramatic health impacts, climate change is about more than just the weather being unpredictable. Over the past decade, we have seen the impact of climate change firsthand in our communities. Wildfires, sea level rise, drought, longer allergen seasons, and higher rates of asthma can be dangerous for many of us. And we need to make every effort we can to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and combat climate change. So looking here at California, chances are you've heard of the term greenhouse gases, or GHGs. And in case you don't know exactly what that term means, the Environmental Protection Agency defines greenhouse gas simply as gases that trap heat in the atmosphere. The United States is the second largest producer of greenhouse gas emissions in the world. The good news is that here in California, we've been diligently working since the 1990s to reduce our emissions. Electricity, which represents 27% of nationwide emissions, only accounts for 15% of statewide emissions here in California. This is due in large part to community choice aggregation agencies like MCE, offering renewable energy services to our customers and dramatically reducing the carbon footprint of our electric grid. Transportation now represents the largest portion of our emissions, and California has been working tirelessly to encourage adoption of clean transportation, something that is also important to agencies like us, MCE. We're grateful to be able to serve our communities and do what is important to reach these climate change solutions. So moving on, what is community choice? Now, community choice aggregation began at the state legislature. In 2002, there was state level legislation that was passed that allowed agencies like MCE to exist. We became the default electric service provider in a community that votes to join. So community choice aggregation programs, or CCAs, follow a customer opt-out model, which helps support the state's renewable and clean energy goals. CCAs are public, non-for-profit agencies that purchase electricity on behalf of customers as an alternative to the investor-owned utility, which in Vallejo and Pleasant Hill is PG&E. We are a government agency or joint powers authority, similar to a waste or water district. Some of the key benefits with the CCA model include local decision-making, tailored community energy programs, and the ability to reinvest in local benefits for the communities that we serve. So how electric service works. Let's talk about how it works. When thinking about electricity, I find it's easiest to break things down into two main parts: generation and delivery. Generation is how the power is created, and delivery is how the power then travels to you, the customer. With the CCA model, MCE becomes the source of generation for customers, supplying energy from clean, renewable power sources. This renewable energy is then fed into the electric grid and delivered via the local utilities transmission and distribution lines to homes and businesses. In our case, that utility is PG&E. So PG&E continues to deliver the electricity from the grid to your home or business, address service outages, and maintain the poles and wires, and send you your bill, which will include MCE's generation service. With MCE, the benefit to the customer is that you now have a choice in your electric service provider with more access to more renewable energy choices. So if we take a look here, this is a map of the US, and we're taking a look at how community choice aggregation is not just specific to the Bay Area or even the state of California. CCAs exist in 8 states across the country, designated in the green on the map in the slide that you see here. Several other states have also introduced legislation that would allow for CCAs to exist, indicated by the blue states, and a few states in the red are early in the process of considering CCAs as a model in their state. So here is a nice timeline of California Community Choice. Here in California, MCE was the first community choice program, but certainly not the last. And due to MCE's success, the model has grown across the state. There are now 24 active CCAs across California with hundreds of participating local governments. And today, CCAs are serving over 10 million customers statewide. Now, here are some examples of research institutions that have validated CCAs. One of the key reasons that CCAs are expanding at such a rate is that the CCA model is making significant impact in the state of California with regard to increasing the amount of overall renewable energy statewide. This has been validated by a number of research institutions, including the Luskin Center for Innovation at UCLA, as well as the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. MCE specifically has taken important steps to ensure delivery of a reliable, environmentally responsible power supply portfolio. We have 60% renewable energy since 2017, meeting state renewable goals 13 years ahead of schedule. Additionally, MCE's energy is 90% greenhouse gas free, and we aim to be 95% carbon free by 2022. So after all that, the question is, who is MCE? So MCE, here we go, is a public non-for-profit electricity provider that offers electric customers in our service area the choice of receiving 60% to 100% of their electricity supplied from clean, renewable sources, such as solar and wind, at a stable and cost-competitive rate. Our mission is to address climate change by reducing energy-related greenhouse gas emissions, and we also offer economic and workforce benefits to our communities while keeping equity at the forefront of our work. Again, about MCE, we were formed in 2008, following more than 6 years of careful study and development, and our service was launched to customers in 2010 as California's first Community Choice Aggregation Program. We currently provide renewable energy service to more than 490,000 customer accounts and more than 1 million residents and businesses across 36 member communities in 4 Bay Area counties: Contra Costa, Marin, Napa, and Solano. And here you can see a map of our 36 member communities, again, across those 4 counties and the vast majority of the cities and towns within Marin, Napa, and Contra Costa. So MCE customer benefits. MCE offers our customers a variety of programs and services. As mentioned, we do not have shareholders. Decisions are made by a local board of elected officials, which means you as a member of the public have more control over the decisions that we make. We also offer stable and cost competitive rates as part of our mission. In fact, our last rate increase was in July of 2019, and we had decreased rates for several years prior to that. We also have no plans to increase rates at this time. MCE is a leader in clean energy, offering our customers a minimum of 60% renewable electricity, which is more than twice the renewable content of traditional electricity service. We also met the state renewable energy targets 13 years ahead of schedule, which helps mitigate the effects of climate change and reduce air pollution from the use of fossil fuels. MCE is focused on being as efficient as possible in our services. The majority of our revenues go back into power purchasing, and we are financially stable as an agency, as demonstrated by our recent A credit rating from S&P, which is our 3rd investment grade credit rating. And finally, all of this adds up and allows us to make meaningful local reinvestments, support new renewables, and develop tailored customer programs. As a local public agency, MCE is governed by our board of directors. These 30 individuals are all elected officials from the member communities that we serve. There are no tax dollars that go to the folks that sit on our board. Our board members are council members from the cities, towns, and counties that we serve. For Vallejo, your representative is Councilmember Katie Meisner, and for Pleasant Hill, your board representative is Councilmember Matt Rinn. And completed compliance obligations. As a local public agency, we are governed by our board of directors. In addition to the regulation that we have under our board of directors, we also have a number of compliance obligations. A little bit about some of our compliance obligations, who is regulating MCE and how we are ensuring compliance. Like I said, we're governed by our board of directors, and our board makes decisions pertaining to the types of programs our agency will implement, our power purchasing and contracting, and our rates. However, as a CCA program, we also must follow and meet all of the regulatory compliance obligations at the CPUC, or the California Public Utilities Commission, state the federal level. You can see some of the obligations on the screen, which include meeting the renewable portfolio standard, resource adequacy, and emissions performance standard. Additionally, as a local public agency, we are able to set targets above and beyond those required by the state, such as our decision to offer a minimum of 60% renewable energy to our customers, as well as, excuse me. Pardon me, I lost my place. As well as 2 100% renewable energy service options. So again, these are a list of our compliance obligations. If you have other questions on this, you can reach out to us later today. So your energy choices. A little bit about, oh my gosh, excuse me. So what does all of this mean for you and your electricity service? With MCE, you have a choice in your energy options. And as our newest customers in Vallejo and Pleasant Hill, you're likely wondering, what are my options? Beginning in April 2021, the billing cycle, you will automatically be enrolled in MCE's light green service. With light green, you will receive a 60% renewable portfolio, which is twice the amount that you would receive with PG&E. Additionally, for 1 penny per kilowatt hour, or roughly $5 a month more for the average residential customer, you can opt up to our deep green service, which is 100% renewable and comes from California wind and solar. An added benefit to deep green is that half of the premium you pay goes towards creating new local energy programs and projects that benefit the community. You can choose to opt out of MCE light green service or remain with PG&E's electric generation service. To do so, simply go online or give us a call with your PG&E account number to opt out. You have 60 days after the start of service with MCE to opt out at no cost. After that, there's a small one-time $5 fee per residential account or $25 per commercial account. So looking here, we can see a sample PG&E bill. Now, this is your bill as you receive it from PG&E. As an MCE customer, your bill will still come from PG&E, but you will not receive a separate bill from MCE. Beginning in April, the main difference you will notice is that you will now see a line item for MCE electric generation charges on your bill. As you can see, you will still pay PG&E each month for the costs associated with the delivery of electricity. The key difference is that you now have electric generation with MCE. Previously, your electric delivery and generation charges are bundled into this one charge, current electric charges, which is about $75. Again, you can see that current electric charges highlighted in blue there. Now with MCE, you see a new line item called MCE electric generation charges. I want to emphasize that this is not an added charge. Previously, the generation charge was not visible in the bill. You now have the visibility into the generation charges as an MCE customer. So you're probably wondering, what is the cost difference between MCE and PG&E for Vallejo and Pleasant Hill customers? We've broken down your your different energy choices on the screen here: light green, deep green, and PG&E for Vallejo and Pleasant Hill customers. Again, as a non-for-profit public agency, MCE is fully transparent with our rates and costs. MCE has been less expensive than PG&E 70% of our time in operation. our customers have saved over $68 million with MCE service. And let's break down this bill, which represents a typical home. The top line item here is the electric generation rate. As you can see, the generation rate for our standard light green service, as well as our 100% renewable deep green option, are significantly less than the standard PG&E service. The next line, the delivery service, is the same for all electric customers, as you'll continue to pay PG&E for the service. One item that you pay as a CCA customer, however, is an added PG&E fee called the PCIA, or Power Charge Indifference Adjustment, which is also often referred to as an exit fee. All CCA customers pay the PCIA. This charge exists to compensate PG&E for energy contracts that they previously entered into on your behalf when you were a PG&E customer. PG&E is required to enter into long-term contracts to serve their customers and are still required to pay into those contracts even when customers leave for CCA service. So this fee is meant to keep PG&E whole and also help customers remain indifferent to the energy choice of their customers, hence the namesake. We know that what is most important to customers is ultimately what they pay on the bottom line. You can see that here, the total electric bill costs between MCE's standard service and PG&E's is almost the same. MCE is just about 40 cents more expensive currently. With that in mind, MCE still also offers a number of discount programs. These include PG&E employee discounts, which remain the same with MCE service, as well as care, FARA, and medical baseline allowance, which are provided in full to MCE customers. There's no need to reapply for these programs if you're currently enrolled in them under PG&E. So here's some MCE 101. As an MCE customer, energy delivery, transmission, and distribution will remain with PG&E. Energy procurement will be conducted by MCE. Customer billing will be done by PG&E and will have MCE charges. Our customer support is available via phone or email. There's no need to reapply or take action if you're already enrolled in care, FARA, or medical baseline. And the PG&E employee discount remains the same. So where does the power come from? The short answer is mostly renewable sources. We know that fossil fuels are the largest sources of US air pollution. Renewables, on the other hand, are pollution-free and come from constantly replenishing natural resources like solar and wind. By turning to these sources and limiting our use of fossil fuels, we can help create a clean and secure energy future for California. And that is just what we're doing at MCE. In fact, since the 2010s, through our energy procurement practices, we have eliminated nearly 500,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions. Now, we touched on how our standard service is 60% renewable, but I wanted to break down where that power actually is coming from. As you can see in the middle here, 20% is solar and 29% is wind power, namely from California sources and throughout the Pacific Northwest as well, with bioenergy, geothermal, and small hydro making up smaller portions of the renewable portfolio. We do procure about 29% of our power from large hydroelectric sources, which are greenhouse gas free, but not considered renewable. Deep green, on the other hand, is 100% renewable, with 50% coming from wind and 50% coming from solar. This is our renewable energy content as reported to the California Energy Commission and verified through an independent audit, which takes some time, which is why this is 2019 electric content is the most up to date. So looking at new California renewables can be an economic driver, and MCE is proving that. Since our inception as an agency, more than $1.75 billion have been committed by MCE and project partners to develop and construct these California renewable energy projects. And in that process, MCE has supported approximately 5,000 California construction jobs, and over 800,000 of the 1.4 million labor hours are union labor. This is absolutely something we are very proud of. In addition to our procurement, we also offer a feed-in tariff or Fit and Fit Plus program. We have one of the most competitively priced feed-in tariff programs in the state of California, which allows developers to turn solar projects into revenue streams with a standardized 20-year term and fixed price per year, fixed price per every megawatt hour generated. This program encourages development of renewable energy in MCE service area, and all projects must meet prevailing wage and local hire requirements, helping build a clean energy workforce and supporting the local economy. Here's a look at where some of the local renewable energy projects are located. As of September 2020, MCE has approximately 35 megawatts of local renewable energy projects located here in our service area. A great example of a local project serving our community is the MCE Solar One project, which is one of the largest public-private solar partnerships in the Bay Area. MCE Solar One's 10.5 megawatt solar system is producing 22,000 megawatt hours per year of pollution-free electricity, enough power to power over 3,900 homes annually. For this project, 341 jobs were supported with a 50% local hire requirement. Now I'll talk about some of our community programs. We're proud to offer a full suite of innovative energy savings and energy management programs that are available to our customers. Some of these include energy efficiency programs for single-family, multifamily, commercial, and agricultural customers. I mentioned our feed-in tariff program earlier. We also support battery storage solutions to increase energy resiliency at critical facilities in our communities. We offer EV charging infrastructure incentives and rebates for the purchase of electric vehicles for income-qualified customers. And lastly, a net energy metering program that benefits our customers who have solar at their home or business. On the home energy side, we have no-cost energy efficiency programs available to income-qualified residential customers. We also offer rebates and no-cost energy efficiency assessments to commercial and non-residential customers, and a clean energy career pathways program through our workforce development initiatives. On the EV front, we offer a $3,500 rebate towards the purchase of an electric vehicle for income-qualified customers. Also, on the same EV front, we know that one of the major barriers for folks purchasing an electric vehicle is worrying about where to charge it. That is what we offer, up to $3,000 per charging port for workplace and multifamily properties that want to install EV chargers. And then for our rooftop solar customers, we offer a monthly surplus generation credited at a full retail rate. And then for any annual net generation, automatic cash outs for our customers up to $5,000, which are paid out at twice the wholesale rate or 2 times that of PG&E. PG&E will still send out a true-up bill at the start of MCE service, and all charges incurred since the last true-up, usually annual, and credits will be zeroed out. And with that, thank you. Thank you for joining us for today's presentation, and we'd be happy to take any questions now. So we'll take a moment to see what questions folks have already asked, and I will invite the MCE staff who are on the line right now to unmute and to share your videos. And my colleague, Mariela, will be facilitating the Q&A. Thank you again, everybody.
Thank you, Justin, for that wonderful presentation. Hi, everyone. My name is Mariela Herrick, and I am also Community Development Manager at MCE. Please feel free to type your question into the chat and we will answer it. We look forward to answering your questions. We'll give you all a moment to type those in. So I just received a message, a direct message that says, I have solar. Do I need to do anything to switch to MCE? I'm going to go ahead and pass that over to Ben. And I'll repeat the question. The question is, do I need to do anything to switch to MCE if I have solar?
No, you don't. All you basically you will automatically, if you have solar currently with PG&E, when you are enrolled with MCE, it will automatically transfer to MCE's net energy metering program. I do have to say though that it will also trigger an early true up with PG&E. So basically, what will happen is you'll have you'll reschedule your true up for basically the month of I guess the month of March, just before your enrollment with MCE.
And I see here that, thank you for that answer, Ben. And I see here that Steve Donovan asked a question which says, can you please talk a little bit more about homes with solar panels and how this interfaces with MCE?
Absolutely. So Steve, much like with non-solar homes, MCE takes over the generation portion of your electricity, and PG&E continues to maintain the transmission and distribution and those kind of electric delivery functions, kind of maintaining the wires, those kinds of things. So the same thing happens with net energy metering solar customers. So what you will continue to see the same type of description in your bill, showing you every month how your solar panels are netting out compared to your usage. And you will also continue to receive a true up. The only difference is that your true up will now, with PG&E, will now only encompass PG&E delivery charges. With MCE, you will be credited for your excess generation in months when your panels produce more than you use, and those credits will offset months where your usage exceeds your solar panels productivity. And then once a year, in the month of April, actually, we have a cash out period where if you have surplus generation, in other words, if over the course of the past year you've used you use less energy than your panels produce, that surplus will be credited by MCE either in the form of a check or a bill credit, and it will be valued at 2 times the wholesale rate that you would normally get from PG&E.
Thank you, Ben. And so we have 2 questions from Barbara Hall. The first is, will there be power shutoffs? I'll go ahead and answer that one. So Barbara, with MCE, we procure your generation, so that's where your energy is coming from. PG&E still controls the wires that are in charge of the delivery. So if they are having a power shutoff, unfortunately, you will still be impacted by that. The second question that Barbara has is, I have a property outside of Contra Costa County, which is served by PG&E. What will show on my bill for MCE and PG&E services? Does anyone want to take that one?
I could.
Sounds good. Go ahead, Ben.
Okay. Yeah. Did you want that, Sebastian? Or?
No, go for it, Ben.
All right. I'll go for it. Basically, Barbara, that depends on whether or not your 2 accounts are under the same PG&E account number, because if they are, they're likely billed together. So you receive both of those properties on the same bill, and one of those bills will feature, or basically one of those parts of your bill will feature MCE charges for electric generation, and the other one will likely show the PG&E bundle charges in terms of they won't be broken out.
Thank you, Ben. So Another question that I have here is, can I pay more than the amount due to build up credit balance for the high peak months? I'm going to go ahead and shoot that over to Ben, unless someone else would like to take it.
I'm not quite sure what we mean by high peak months, but I'm imagining that just means the higher bills, which is going to, depending on whether your electricity is going into heating or cooling, is going to be the summer or the winter. So basically, yes, you can, just as you can on your PG&E bill. That should totally work. What would happen is you'll see a credit on your PG&E bill, just if you're doing that practice currently, the same way you're seeing it now.
Thank you, Ben. And all, please feel free to type your question into the chat, and we would be happy to answer it.
You know, it just occurred to me that the previous question might be talking about PG&E budget billing. So in other words, informally, you could pay a larger amount than is owed on your bill and have credits that will lay for periods of time, laid away for periods of time when you have higher bill. Or you could be in PG&E's budget billing, where they kind of do that for you. And they even out your costs throughout the year, and they readjusted it every, I think, 3-month period. But that being said, as an MCE customer, MCE electric generation charges would not be included in that budget billing equation. So basically, they would take all the charges except for electricity generation. So we're talking gas potentially and electric delivery, and they would have apply budget billing to those, but not to the MCE charges.
So we have another question here in the chat, which says, how often could MCE prices be higher than PG&E prices? So I'll go ahead and start this off, and then I'll go ahead and have Leanne add to this. So we, as an agency, have offered, we have been cheaper than PG&E 70% of the time that we've been in operation. Right now, for Pleasant Hill and Vallejo customers, it's just a few cents of difference for the average customer that we're seeing compared to the PG&E cost. And our rates have typically stayed consistent. Leanne, would you like to add to that?
Just that MCE's board, which is made up of local officials or local electeds from each of the jurisdictions that are part of MCE, the board has the opportunity to review our rates typically once a year. We haven't raised our changed our rates since July of 2019. And you probably saw on the slide that Justin showed that currently our actual generation rates are lower than PG&E's. What can change is that what they call the PCIA, or the exit fee, can change. And that is set by PG&E with the approval of the California Public Utility Commission. And it's the change in the PCIA, or that exit fee, that often is what is affecting whether we are competitive, less, or in some cases a few cents higher than PG&E. So it's not necessarily the rate itself for the generation, but some of the added costs on top of that. And again, as Mariela stated, 70% of the time over the last 10 years, we've actually been competitive or less overall than PG&E with our generation and the exit fee included, because we can't exactly predict always where that PCI rate change is going to be, or where the PCI change is going to be. That's where there's some, can be a change from year to year. PG&E has a tendency to raise their rates at least once a year. And so that's another element that obviously can affect how competitive we are to their rates. Ben, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
So that was great. The only thing I wanted to add was that, yeah, as you just to reiterate, as you pointed out, that we run our comparisons, including the exit fees. In fact, in my time, it's almost 9 years now at MCE, we've actually always been significantly, our generation rates have always been significantly lower than PG&E's, and the only times that 30% that Mariela was talking about generally indicates times in which the our generation rates are lower, but not lower when you figure in that exit fee.
When you look at where we are right now, with its very competitive with just a few cents difference, you can look at those the 30 or 40 cents difference compared to twice the renewable content, the 60% renewable content that we provide. It makes that renewable content and having a much lower impact on the environment pretty significant.
And then we have a couple of other questions, so I'll go ahead and ask Barbara's question, which is, could you please redefine feed-in tariff and true-up? I'm going to shoot over the true-up part to Ben.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, as far as true-up goes, that's a PG&E term. Keep in mind, when people talk about the true-up, they're talking about the annual true-up where PG&E applies for our customers, where PG&E applies all of the electric delivery charges throughout any given annual period. I can speak a little bit about the feed-in tariff portion as well, because that's often also related to solar. A feed-in tariff is basically a mechanism by which a developer can be incentivized to develop small to medium scale solar projects. We're talking in the 1 megawatt range usually, and it basically provides retail level prices. In other words, we basically offer to get into a power purchase contract with developers, offering a much higher than wholesale price for the solar energy that they or any renewable energy that they develop. And I think currently our feed-in tariff project also has a requirement for storage on site as well.
Yeah. I would just add to what we call the true up, or what in individuals or households with solar, what they're used to thinking about with the true up is at the end of the year, there's often, customers often have to pay when it comes to the true up, because overall through the course of the year, they have used more energy than their solar array has produced. And with MCE, because that is assessed monthly, the months where you use more than the solar panels produce, then you would have a bill, but it would most likely be a very small bill, because it would be a small amount that you're making up, or that you're paying for beyond what your solar panels are producing. Therefore, there isn't that big true up at an end of the year where you could potentially have a much larger pay bill than anticipated. And we find that customers do like that on the monthly basis, they're keeping up with that.
Thank you all for answering those questions. Sebastian, I have a question here for you. How do I opt up to Deep Green 100% renewable energy?
Great question, Mariela. Yeah, so opting up to Deep Green is super easy. You can go online to our website, and really all you need is your PG&E account number, and we can handle that for you. And yeah, it should show up on your next billing cycle.
Thanks, Sebastian. I have one more follow-up question for you related to that. Can businesses opt up to Deep Green?
Yes, they can. And if they do so, we offer a program called Deep Green Champions, which actually allows you to be highlighted on our website, on our social media. So it's a great way for small businesses to get some cross promotion through MCE for their sustainability efforts.
Thanks for answering that, Sebastian. So we definitely want to encourage you all to ask your questions in the chat. We want to make sure we are able to answer all those questions.
On the deep green question for households, a typical household would probably calculate out to maybe $5 more a month to have 100% renewable, local renewable power purchased on your behalf.
Thank you for adding that, Leanne.
Local defined as in the state of California.
And then Justin, I have a question here for you. Could you tell us a little bit more about the electric vehicle rebates?
Yeah, the electric vehicle rebate program is a great example of how MCE as a public local agency is reacting to the needs of our community. So a few years ago, we conducted a study of electric vehicle adoption within the counties that we serve, and we saw that there was going to be a real need for more electric vehicle infrastructure, as well as assistance for folks to get access to electric vehicles. So that sort of was the catalyst for developing those two programs that I talked about before. One, which is an electric vehicle rebate focused on low income and income qualifying customers. And then the other, which is a rebate to incentivize workplace and multifamily home charging, so that we can provide more incentives for folks to build out the infrastructure so they can charge their cars, their electric vehicles, either where they work or where they live. And thank you, Mariela, for adding some of the information. Please check out the website for more information on our EV charging rates, as well as information on the EV charging rebate and low income EV rebate as well.
Thanks for answering that, Justin. So I'm going to give you all a moment to type in any other questions. Go ahead and start thinking about those, any other questions that you all might have. We do have a survey that we would love for you all to fill out. We're going to go ahead and launch it in the Zoom. It's super easy. So Enyo, can you please go ahead and launch the survey? Awesome. Thank you all. So the survey should have popped up on your screen, and you can go ahead and answer these 4 questions for us. All righty, we'll give it a few more seconds in case you haven't filled out the survey. So we can go ahead and end polling now. And let's go ahead and share these results so you all can see what others said. So it looks like most of you are coming from Pleasant Hill who participated in the survey, and you are residential customers. Looks like we were able to answer some of your questions about MCE, but some of you might still have questions. And it looks like some of you are interested in learning more about our solar program, our energy efficiency programs, our summertime load reduction programs, and activities that you can participate to address climate change. So happy to answer any other questions that you all might have. We'll give it another minute or two. We want to make sure that we can answer those questions. But in case you want to have another conversation with us, we will be hosting office hours. In a non-pandemic year, we would be in the community at farmers markets, at City Hall, at local coffee shops and restaurants, chatting with you all. But given that we can't do that, we are having office hours. So on April 14th, 21st, and 28th at 10 a.m. and at 6 p.m., there will be office hours where you can join a Zoom link and ask us questions. So if we couldn't answer all your questions today, please feel free to participate in those, and that information is available on our website. We also, you can always email us at info@mcecleanenergy.org, and we would be happy to answer any other questions that you all have.
And chances are, if you email info@mcecleanenergy.org, you'll get a response back from one of us that was here this evening.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Barbara, for being on this call today. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and close out for tonight. Again, feel free to join us at our office hours starting April 14th, April 21st, and April 28th at 10 a.m. and at 6 p.m., where you can come and chat with us and we'll answer your questions.
Great, thanks for joining, everyone. Thank you, Mariella, for facilitating the questions. I hope everyone has a great evening. And again, if you have more questions or you want to talk to us, you can come find us at the office hours, give us a call, give us an email. Either way, we're happy to be here for you. Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.